Hey folks, Andy here. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Dust Bowl Audio. Right, I have been using Waves plugins for many years, between 10 and 20 years. First plugin I ever bought was HEQ, and I was blown away with how useful some of the features on there were. At the time, there was a lot of bad press about Waves. They had been pulling some pretty nasty stunts, according to some of the stuff that you were reading out on various forums, where they were basically doing entrapment on people who were running their software without having proper licenses for it. But you know, you have to figure it costs money to produce these things. They're a commercial organization, and is it really that bad to just make sure that you're getting your dues for the work that you've put in? You know, as musicians and producers, we tend to feel we deserve to be paid for the work we do. So I always thought, well, maybe people just shouldn't be pirating plugins. It was a big thing at the time. Maybe they shouldn't be doing it. And I kind of never had a particular grudge about that with Waves. I then started reading about what a bunch of absolute gits they were over a thing called the WUP, which is the Waves Update Plan. And I have defended Waves over this for many years now. So if you don't know what WUP was all about, you buy your Waves plugin and you get a year's updates, and you then get the option to take out the Waves Update Plan, the WUP. And what that does is, for a fee, you get another 12 months of cover. And if you have any issues, any technical issues, you can contact Waves and they will help you out. If you have a bundle and you have WUP on it, and a new plugin gets added to the bundle, then you get the new plugin included as long as you're within WUP. And it's all very well and good. People get very upset about the fact that you have to keep on paying this WUP year after year. But the thing about it, the thing that I've always staunchly defended about this with as far as Waves goes, is that whilst, yes, it's a fee that you have to pay if you want to be covered by support, one, you don't have to pay it. Two, if you do decide to pay it, you only have to pay it for the year you want. So you could buy your plugin, use it for 5 years, something new comes out or you have an issue, you could pay your WUP for 1 year, get the updates, you don't have to go back and fill in the gaps. So I always thought, you know, that's really not too bad. And the other thing is that Waves don't really tend to update their plugins very often. Some of the older things, the R series plugins, have had a little bit of a facelift, which is quite nice. And fairly recently, they've added to some of their plugins little things like mix controls, which should have been in there for a long, long time anyway. But that's about it. And in fairness, I would say that every Waves plugin that I have ever bought, I have never once paid a penny in Waves Update Plan, and I have never had a plugin stop working on me because it's gotten too old. So, you know, let's just sort of keep a little bit of a perspective. However, as of yesterday, the 26th of March 2023, all of this has changed. And in my opinion, now Waves are an absolute, utter, complete bunch of bastards. The reason for this is, a few weeks ago, emails started coming through saying, if you have bought a Waves plugin and you haven't yet registered it, you need to get it done. I thought, that's a little bit odd, but I haven't bought any new plugins in quite a long time now, so not too bothered about it. And these warnings kept coming through. If you bought from a Waves dealer, then you need to get your plugins registered. This morning, the 27th of March, I got an email waiting in my email box, and it's saying, you can no longer buy or update any Waves plugins. We're giving you the complete freedom to be creative. Create with total freedom. See that? Create with total freedom. And it's saying that the entire model for Waves plugins has now moved to a thing called Waves Creative Access, which is, yeah, it's a subscription. Now, lots of manufacturers do this, and software producers love subscriptions because you take it out and it's a relatively small amount on a monthly or annual basis, and it keeps churning revenue for them. Slate Digital started doing this. When Slate first appeared, I absolutely loved their plugins. They brought out a relatively small number of incredibly good plugins, and then they started really pushing hard on their subscription model. And all of a sudden, a company that was producing a new plugin every 18, 24, something like that months, you know, that was constantly telling us how much work went into refining and making these things wonderful, will suddenly seem to be churning like 2 a week or something like that. Okay, a little bit hyperbolic there. because that's what makes people think, oh, great, if I subscribe, I get all these new toys on a regular basis. It's like getting access to the Sweet Factory. Now, at least with Slate, you could still buy the plugins. What Waves have done, and the thing that I think is absolutely below the belt, is they've said any new Waves plugins you can get only as part of the subscription, which I think sucks. But, you know, what the hell? At least you have the choice not to get those. But they have cancelled, and get this, with no notice. It's like effective immediately. By the time you read this email, it's too late. Now, I have plugins going back to version 9, let's say, and it's long been in my mind that at some point I would update. Can't do that any longer. So the old plugins I've got, I didn't even have a chance to say, oh, I've got a month, I've got a week, I've got a couple of days before this new methodology drops. I'll go in and update those just to get my studio sorted out for the foreseeable future. It rankles with me because I love Waves plugins. I like the sound of them, but most of all, I love the workflow of them. And I've got so used to using them. I mean, have a look at this. This is a project. It has got Waves absolutely all over it. And I love things like the undo function and the toolbar. I love having the A and B settings. I just love the way they work, and it's so ingrained in my workflow. Now, over the years, as a Cubase user, I've found that the included plugins with Cubase have gotten better and better and better, to the point where there's a load of stuff that I used to use from Waves that I just don't touch anymore. But there's still utilities in there that are absolutely fantastic. As I'm recording this, I've got the screen up behind the camera there, and I've got a Wave view meter sitting on it because it's what I drag up. It's how I monitor things. It's embedded. I am so used to seeing Waves all over the place. But not only will I not take a Wave subscription because my head just doesn't do subscriptions, I still kind of view software almost as though it's a soft version of hardware. You know, I buy the license for it, I use it within the terms of the license, but that's it. I don't need to keep on changing and updating it, no matter how much money the industry wants to keep taking out of me for doing it. Now, here's the rub of all of this. If I want to use the latest versions of all of the plugins that I have from Waves, it is going to cost me $25 a month to do that. As it is, I can carry on using what I've got for nothing as long as those plugins keep working and as long as I don't need new features. But goodness only knows what happens what if we get a VST4 format plugin and all of a sudden, boom, I'm completely out of date. Say Cubase drops support for VST3 at some point in the future. My Wave plugin library has just become absolutely, utterly, completely dead to me. So I sort of feel as though I need to start weaning myself off of Waves. And that is a heartbreaker because I love and have defended this company all along the way. It annoys me that they've gone subscription only, but it really annoys me. And the below the belt thing is that they've done it with no notice. And that is a gotcha. And Waves, that is absolutely disgusting. What can I say? Okay, just to put a perspective on this, if you've got Waves plugins, they're going to carry on working. The Waves plugins that I've had for well over 10 years all still work. I still use them all on a regular basis. But I'm going to be looking elsewhere. And in fact, I've just been going through the roughs of a mix that I was working on and slotting in a bunch of IK multimedia plugins that I have got and have had for years that have been updated along the way and are absolutely fantastic. And I'm thinking, do you know what? I could move over. I could do these. I can replace a load of Wave stuff with plugins that just come in Cubase. And if you're a Pro Tools or a Logic or a Reaper or a Studio One user, you're going to have similar stuff that these days does an absolutely fantastic job. So I'm not panicking too much about it, but God, I am annoyed about it. Okay, Waves, you suck. Everyone else, have a great time. I'll see you next time out on a more positive note. I'm Andy, this is the Dust Bowl Audio. Take care. I'll see you then.